you're an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
business owner,
Yeah, I have two businesses.
two businesses,
Yeah.
and we were looking at some of those. Becky, can you pull up? I think I already brought it up on the computer. Let's pull up one of Frankie's businesses here.
Oh yeah, that's one.
There he is,
Yeah,
right there.
that's the one I'm more interested in at the moment. Even, but they both work in tandem, really. Uh, this is just to help small businesses find more profits than they believe even exist for their own business. So, and it's a pretty easy thing. I had somebody come up to me actually 2 weeks ago, might be less than that, 10 days ago, and I was at another event, and he said, "I've got to talk to you. Got to talk to you." So, pulled me off to the side, and apparently, something I shared with him at a workshop. I hold these workshops at the Chamber of Commerce offices, and he said, "I put that into practice, and I can't believe it. It just went like a dream, and making more money, and it cost him nothing. I just gave it to him, and he just took it and ran with it, and he was so excited. He was almost jumping up and down. So,
I think I'd be jumping up and down if you increased my profitability.
Well,
So
that-
yeah, I was
that's-
watching some of this. I was watching the videos last night, and
oh really?
yeah, I
Oh,
was
right.
doing. I know. I was
Don't
doing.
show any of those. I've got
was
to
doing-
redo those.
was doing a little research on you. Now,
Will you?
just looking into. Well, I'm interested. I always want to know. Other than we've had some, quite candid conversations, and just I think that you and I had that kind of kindred idea of how to help small businesses. Obviously, this is how ESN got started, or the podcast ESN Local, and with helping out small businesses. And this is really interesting. He's going to show. I'll show business owners how to double their bottom line in 3 months or less without spending a penny on marketing and increasing sales volume. So this is increasing sales volume with guaranteed results.
I guarantee that I don't work with any company or any business. For me to work with a business, the owner has to be committed. They have to be coachable, and they have to do what we agreed needs to be done. If they can do that, and I can see in their business that there's room to grow significantly, I will guarantee that I can, whatever you pay me, I'll bring you back 10 times that in a year. Over a year, you'll get 10 times, at least 10 times what I charge you. So it's like pay $1, get 10 back, and I'm willing to guarantee it. But
That's cool. That's a heck of a
yeah, it
guarantee.
is. Of course, I need to look at if you're just a cleaning lady on your own. I'm not going to bring you $100,000 in the next year. So you have to be sensible about it. But,
Sure.
But there are a lot of people that say, yeah, they know what needs to be done, but they don't have the time to do it because they're too busy holding a screwdriver, and they don't know how to put a drip campaign together. Or they haven't got time to get on the phone and negotiate prices to cut costs and things like that. And it's just straightforward stuff that needs to be done for people like myself. It's straightforward, but for somebody again who's out there in the field doing it, they haven't got the time, and they're missing so much. They could be, you could get that car, that new house, you could go on vacation, you can have time off, but you just need to rethink how you're running your business. Are you running your business, or are you just is it just a job for you?
The program that you've got. Explain that.
Well, I offer several different versions of the program. It could be group coaching, which is I get a group of people together from different industries, and half a dozen to a dozen people, and they all help each other, they inspire each other, and one of my phrases I like to sort of spout is, you've got to think outside the box, we all know that, but how about thinking inside somebody else's box to see what they're doing in their industry that you could adapt and apply to your own industry. And a lot of people don't think that, there are things that, I don't know, a marketing business might do or a plumbing business might do that you could adapt and Yeah, like McDonald's, for instance, they tell you, do you want fries with that, or do you want to upsize that? You know, there are there's a 34% statistically, it's 34% chance that if you ask somebody if they would like something else while they're buying what you're selling, they will buy it.
34%.
34%, and a third of people would just there for the sale is just there for the asking, and a lot of people don't even think of it, and that is upselling, cross-selling. It could be something else, but that will go with what you've got already. And you see it on Amazon, for instance. People also buy this and things like that, and it's just there. Just ask for it, and or just offer it, and people don't think about that.
You're seeing the need that the customer has and filling it is basically what you're doing. And if you have something that the customer, you believe that they need, you might need a large fry, might need a large drink.
If you ever bought anything off Vista Print?
Oh yeah,
they're classic for that. You try and complete the sale, you'll get about 6 different opportunities to buy something.
Yeah.
Even if you don't want them, I've got a T-shirt. You need a fridge magnet to go with that. So.
And a matching mug.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and a coaster to go with your mug, because you bought a mug. You need a coaster.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. Exactly.
And you might need a table to go with it, and we can put your face on that too.
Yeah, you've got a hat that will go with that T-shirt.
Yeah.
You can drink a cup of coffee in this mug while you're admiring yourself. So it's just, it's all very straightforward stuff. And I'm talking about the programs today. That's the group coaching, where I have a bunch of people from different industries who want to, inspire each other, and they encourage each other, and they like it. And there's a lot of camaraderie and that sort of thing. And then there's the individual coaching, where I help businesses over a period. I recommend 12 months, because there are some strategies that take longer than others. I mean, you could go into the cost-cutting process, which you can do, literally in a day. You could make some changes there. But when it comes to creating a market-dominating position, that can take longer. That can take, a couple of months to put in place.
Sure.
And when it comes to a market-dominating position, let's say, I don't know, you repair appliances. Now, you might think you've got the best appliance repair business going, but what's your market dominating position? Are you the best appliance repair company, or are you the best washing machine repair company, or the best dryer repair company, or the best dishwasher repair company? All these things really are what we call micro niches. So they're separate markets within a big market. So if you're pushing one thing, you might be the best at something, but niche down, micro niching, that's what we call it. So to focus on one aspect of your business, keep them all separate, and then when you're promoting whatever it is, drive them to what we call a squeeze page, which is a one-page website which just focuses on that one thing. It could be, I don't know, Frederick Washing Machine Services or something. And then they go to that, they see your ad or whatever it is, or your mail out, whatever it is, and they go to that one page, and all they can do is phone you about washing machine repair, or they can inquire. There are no links to any other website or anything. Your main website is completely separate on a different domain. And so that's it. You're keeping them focused on the subject you're talking about.
And we'd like you to send $5 for that advice. That's valuable stuff right there. I mean, even that's a valuable insight to have multiple domains that point back to your individual offerings
just
or services.
Offering. Nothing else. Just that one service.
One page for that one offering, and that's it. And
it starts the conversation. That's all it is. You're not trying to make a sale off that page. You're just, you're sparking their interest with your ad. You're interrupting them. This is something that shouts out and speaks to them right at that moment, and you're engaging them, and then you're offering them some information which is totally free, risk-free. There's no pressure. Just pick up the phone or send this inquiry in, and we'll contact you and we'll just talk about it. Just start a conversation. That's all it is, and take it from there.
So, how long have you been doing this?
We've all been doing it the whole of our lives, haven't we? Sort of selling. So I've been doing this. It's just 4 or 5 years. I started off with a digital agency. I've been selling things on Google since Google started. I started out as an IT contractor in England, and I was creating these information products. And
wait a second, you're not from the U.S.
That's right.
I had no idea.
Get out of here.
So you started digital marketing in England.
Yeah, I started doing that back in right at the beginning of the 2000s. I created these little piece of software products, teaching people how to do certain things like arbitrage betting, things like that, and created PDFs and selling those online. And that's it. One thing led to another. Then I started a digital agency helping people build websites or building websites for them, and then SEO. I mean, when I started building websites, I used to do it by hand, HTML coding.
Sure.
And then people were asking me, did I have any other ideas about how they could grow their business, and it kind of morphed into business coaching, And it's basically everybody, these things. We all know, we've all heard of them. It's just that we don't apply them to our own business. Or we don't have, as I said before, we don't have time, or I'll do that later. It's procrastinating. Whereas if you got me on your tail, then you're going to be doing it. And that's what I've had clients saying. I just love the fact that you're there, just nudging me and telling me to get on with it. And they're finding themselves much more productive because of that.
That's a quintessential definition of a coach, though. And I mean, it's somebody who's telling you to, if you're at the gym, they're pushing you to get that one last rep out. Or they're directing you, because you and I could walk into the gym today and say, well, I want to be, the next Mr. Universe, or I want to start taking on MMA classes. Well, unless you have somebody who has a understanding in that genre or whatever that is, you're wasting your time.
Yeah, you'll be amazed at how many soccer coaches are out there that are awesome at what they do. I mean, I could quote Jose Mourinho, for instance. I don't know if you know anything about soccer, but he's an amazing coach, been successful with, in Italy, in Spain, and England, and Germany. And he's never played soccer to any real degree. You throw a ball at him and he'll cry because it hurt him. But what a fabulous coach he is, And he coaches the world's top soccer players, literally the world's top soccer players, but yet he can't kick a ball to save his life.
But he can see the game.
He can see the game, yeah. I'm like that. I can see what you're doing or not doing, and I can tell you what to do. But are you going to listen, and are you going to do what I'm going to, you'll agree with me that you could be doing this. Are you going to do it? So there's a difference between me as a coach and a consultant. A consultant will actually get his hands dirty and get in there in the weeds and implement these things for you. That's a different thing. I mean, I could do that too, but I tend to like the coaching because, I don't get hands dirty. That's not true, actually. I actually do a lot more than I need to be doing. But it's because I really care about the people I work with. I get to know them, and I'm amazed how open people are with me. I really do get to know people, and I might have known them for 2 or 3 years, but then we sit down and do the coaching thing. They open up even more. I thought, wow, I never knew that about you, and that's interesting. And it's almost, I don't know, it's almost like therapy for some people. They can actually be honest and open, and actually they're honest. They suddenly become honest with themselves. They see their own situation now. And
when you
that
come
they
into
hadn't
a
really
company,
drilled down
This
and
is something
open
that you're
their eyes
helping
it
to
until
find
you actually sit down
the
with them
cracks and
go through
crevices
this. Yeah, exactly.
where there's either hemorrhaging or maybe there's just a little bit of bleeding going on with the company, and you're bringing it to their attention. At least that's what I gathered from the video.
That's exactly it. Yeah, you just it's another eye, another pair of eyes, looking at the same profit and loss statement. But sometimes you can be blind to certain things because I've seen that, and you're just looking at the wrong numbers and you're missing. Look at that there. You could be shaving 50% off just for asking. You could just go to a supplier, for instance, and just say, who's got other competitors in that same area? Can you give me a discount of 10%, or what can you do for me? Because these other guys, because you can just ask around. People think it's like with auto insurance. How many people stick with the same auto insurance for the whole of their lives when they could be? And who in that? Why are they sticking with the same company? Is it because you like the gecko on the TV, or you don't know anybody personally at that company? Why are you sticking with them? When you could get way cheaper insurance with equally good coverage. Why do they stick? It's just laziness. Oh, I can't be bothered to think about it. But you're spending hundreds of dollars a year, and you transfer that or copy that across the whole P&L statement and see how many things that you could be trimming money off.
Well, maybe I'm going to just say that maybe it's not so much laziness. Maybe it is for some folks. I think for a lot of small business owners, and I could be way off here, and I think that it's we end up in a place. I know that I ended up in a place when I first moved into the position where I'm at right now, is that I ended up feeling like I was putting out fires all the time. So you're so distracted, and your plate is so full, and your mind is, I'm no longer going home exhausted from physical labor. I'm going home from the mental exercises of processing all of the numbers and making sure that everything's going on, that if somebody put something else on my plate, I felt like the whole apple cart was going to tip over. Everything was going to go sideways. Now, whether or not it would have or not, obviously, as you get stronger, like any other position, as you continue to strive for success, you're going to get stronger, hopefully. You're going to fall down. You're going to make mistakes and things like that. But I don't think that, for me, it's not necessarily, I wouldn't say laziness. I would say, for me, it was not being able to take anything else on because I knew the mental exercises that it was going to take to be able to master that particular component and really pull that in. There are so many things that you're just, business moves so fast.
And so that's where delegation comes in.
Yeah.
Sometimes people say, I can't afford to take anybody else on. But the thing is, you can't afford not to, really.
Right.
It's chicken and egg thing, as they say. Yeah. Actually, I've just got to say in defense of the gecko, by the way, I actually like him because he's from London, like me. So.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. So
I don't know anything else about him.
That's it. No. we got to find out about Becky. We're going to have to look into a little bit of background on the gecko. But no, I'm just kidding. So England.
Yes, have you heard of it?
I have. I heard rumors of it.
Yeah.
So England, you moved here. When? Tell me about that.
I had a side hustle, which I still kind of have as a professional singer, and I was a guest entertainer on a cruise ship. Hence my chatting about drinking, eating with the captains. And 10 years ago, I met my current wife. We got married 8 years ago, and she was from Virginia but lived in Frederick here, and I'd never heard of Frederick, and I didn't really know where Maryland was either. And
most people that live in Maryland don't know where Maryland is. I'm kidding.
It's true.
Maryland's like I see that all the time. There's a Facebook page that says Maryland is a cult because we put Old Bay on everything, and we're all about crabs.
The
and,
crabs.
Crabs, and so I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Talking about the crabs, people took me out to eat some of these crabs, and the first time it's at somebody's house, and they spread out all this paper, and we got a toolkit each.
Oh yeah.
And then we're hammering these things.
Get ready to go to work.
And my fingers were so sore after that, and you get you crack out, that hurt, and you get this little tiny, 3 millimeter piece of meat. And the next time we went out to a restaurant or the place where they just do crabs, and I thought, I'm going to have steak. So they were all sitting there eating these crabs, and I'm eating a plate of steak, and I'm happy. But everybody around me was breaking open their crabs and giving me the meat. So I'll have steak, and I'll still get crab, and I don't have to do the work. But what a palaver that is. It's great, but it's I understand it's fun, but I love eating crab, but you do it. That's delegation.
Picking crabs. Picking crabs is definitely it's an art form.
It's a skill.
It's a skill set, man.
Yeah.
You got to get. Yeah.
You see people getting in there know exactly the anatomy of a crab.
Every crack and crevice.
Yeah.
It's delectable.
Yeah, it tastes really nice. I'm not knocking it. It's just knocking the work.
Yeah, the work is. It's a little. Yeah.
It's like that reminds me of Schindler's List. What was his name on there?
I've got to hear this analogy. How are you going to bring this together?
He's talking about he's putting all this thing together, and he goes, "I'm not going to do the work. I don't do the work. It's not the work. It's the presentation." And so that was it for him. What's his name? Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson, yeah.
Fabulous movie, great actor.
Yeah. He's slightly talented. So, England.
Yes.
Okay, so London. You're on a cruise ship.
Mm.
You're a singer.
Yeah.
And you do Frank Sinatra.
That's correct. Yeah, Sinatra.
I love this story, by the way.
Oh, great.
The how you got started, because you and I were talking about the very strange things that happen in our lives, which guide us in a particular pathway, and we have no idea that that's actually happening, but it's directing us in this way, and this tape. So this tape comes into your life, and what
Yeah,
tell everybody about
that. My best buddy, and still my best mate. We were in a punk rock band. That's how I started out in a punk rock band.
Wait, did you have the spiked up?
No, I did have big hair.
Big hair. Well, you still have an amazing. I mean, I'm like.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate that way. And
you are.
It's just luck. But I did have big blonde hair, and punk rock band. And I was working for this TV company in this accounts department. And Mick, my mate Mick, gave me this tape cassette and said, "You might like this." I don't know why he thought I would like Frank Sinatra, but I sat down. I was working there, just had my Walkman, what they used to be, and just listened to this day in day out, and it got me. And then I went out and I just bought a dozen albums of his, and completely changed my life. And I had this. Then I had this party band that I was in, and we had to do 3 hours, and we didn't have 3 hours of material, but I had this, these set of backing tracks on a CD. I said, look, I'll do half an hour of this in the middle. So when we had the break, I put this on, and nobody was paying any attention to the band. But when I got up and started singing this Sinatra stuff, everybody came up to the front of the stage and just watched. And the guys in the band said, "You got to quit this and go and do that." So I did. We were earning £120 between 5 of us, and then the next gig I had was my solo thing, singing with these backing tracks, and I was earning £1,000 all to myself. I thought, "Well, this is a life." So I didn't look back.
How old were you?
Oh, I suppose I was doing that. I was in my 30s. Yeah. Yeah, it's great. I love it, and it's really funny over here and on the ships when I do those on the ships, and I start singing because people think I'm American when I'm singing, you know. And then when I open my mouth, I'd double take. Start talking in between. Actually,
So-
somebody the other just before Christmas, I did a thing at a party somewhere, an event, and the guy obviously wasn't listening to anything I said in between the songs. But when I finished, he came up to me and said, "So, did you grow up in the Bronx?" I said, "No, mate."
Yeah, this is where I got the accent from. This is a New York accent.
It's very East New York.
Very yes, yeah, east. So when you were on the cruise ship, how okay? There's got to be a gap in there. So you're in your 30s. Your mate brings you this tape.
Yeah, I wasn't in the cruise ship then. I was,
You were right,
much later.
right,
Yeah.
right. So your friend brings you your best friend brings you this tape.
Yeah.
You start listening to Sinatra. You're in the punk band.
Mm.
This is all the way up until your 30s, correct?
Oh yeah.
Okay, and then so you do this Sinatra gig. Then you're kind of on your own doing your own thing.
Mm-hmm.
How did that transpire, or how did that transfer, or not transpire? How did that transfer to you ending up on cruise ships?
Well, basically, when you're a singer and you're in the scene, you know, going around, people are asking you to sing here and there. You know, can you do this? You know, yes, I did the Sinatra stuff, but people were also asking me to go into a recording studio and sing rock stuff for them. You know, they recorded some tracks and they needed a singer, so I would do that. You know, I actually got to sing at Abbey Road Studios for some band, so that was great. So I got around and I met a lot of people, and I think one guy came up to me. I advertised, just doing this Google thing, because I was good at Google and advertising. I would advertise on Google AdWords, and I'm not kidding. Some days I would get 10 phone calls from that ad. It's changed now, obviously, but in those days, 10 phone calls. And then some guy called me and said, "I need a Sinatra singer for an event," and he was an agent. So I said, "Yeah, I could do that." I wasn't sure if he was genuine or not, but he ended up getting me a few gigs. And so that was great. That worked out really well. And then he said, I've got an audition with an agent for a cruise line. You know, if you're interested." I said, "Yeah, I'll do that." So I went and did this showcase, and they signed me up, booked me. He's still my agent now, all years later. And he's English too, but he lives in New Orleans. And he was actually the singer. He used to perform many years ago. He was the singer on the show called The Love Boat.
I remember The Love Boat.
He was the singer on that ship, apparently.
Isn't that it?
Yeah, great guy.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look that up. That's really, really interesting. And he's still your friend, still your agent.
Still my agent. I talk to him from time to time. I wish he'd get me more work. The cruise line that I did a lot of work on actually stopped having guest entertainers. They still have musicians on board. The duo that sings up in one of the bars, and the band that sing in the main lounge, but they don't have guest entertainers. So I was a guest entertainer. So they would fly me to Tokyo, and I'd get on a ship, and I'd stay for the end of that particular cruise, and then the beginning of the next cruise. So I'd do 2 shows on that ship, and then 2 shows on the next one. Yeah, literally did 2 shows, 2 45-minute shows a week, and that was it, you know. And then they fly me home.
And you got to hang out on a cruise ship.
Hang out, and the other part of the deal was
eat dinner with the captains.
Eat with the captains and schmooze with the passengers. That was my thing. I was treated like a guest as opposed to crew like the other musicians are, which is a shame really, because people like to talk to the musicians, but for them to actually have dinner with you, you have to request and everything. Otherwise, they sit down, they eat with the crew. I was lucky I could do both, because I got to know the crew as well, so I could do with the passengers or with the crew.
When was the last time you were on a cruise ship?
A couple of years ago now. Yeah, a couple of years ago. And my wife actually had to have an operation. And this crew, my agent, he's done this more than once. He would call me up on a Tuesday and say, "We need you to be in Tokyo on Thursday, and then my wife had an operation scheduled for Thursday, and I said, "Oh, I can't do it." But she said, "You got to go. You got to go." So luckily, I went, and everything was fine. But yeah, so that's how they do that.
So flying out of, so you're here in the States at this point, and you're still doing the cruise ship thing.
Yeah. The ships that I perform on generally have 300 or 700. They're Wind Star cruise line, and the smaller ships, luxury ships, and the Regent cruise ships. And the Regent are slightly bigger, and they have 700 passengers. And again, luxury, really beautiful. And it's a completely different experience. Having said that, my wife and I just won a cruise to go on either Carnival or Royal Caribbean.
Okay, well, I take back what I said about Carnival.
No,
it was
it's
great.
okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
I've done some research, and they're not my first choice out of the two,
Right.
so we'll be choosing to go on the other one. But they're, and it'd be an interesting experience to go on one of these massive ships. But
Yeah, so I've got friends that went recently on the Oasis of the Sea.
ooh,
Yeah, that's no small ship.
No.
That thing is massive, and they said that it was absolutely incredible. Had a mall in the middle, or a mall area, what have you, in the middle of it.
I've
and
seen videos of that.
it's
thing.
just staggering,
It's
full water park, the whole 9 yards, and just
It's a town.
it's a
literally.
floating island.
Yeah, it
or a
is.
floating
Have
whatever.
you heard of the ship called the World?
No, I have not.
No, the World is another.
Becky, can you find the World cruise ship? Can you see if you can find that?
Yeah, now the World is a cruise ship where people actually live on it permanently, and they buy.
Get
No,
outta here.
They buy. I don't know if it's a cabin or a suite. and
okay. So I saw this. I saw this come up in a feed somewhere.
Mm.
I thought it was just a gag or a spoof. I didn't realize this is a real thing.
No,
It's called The World.
Yeah, there's a female singer that I sung with, worked with, and she's actually worked on that ship. Yeah, the World, and they live on it. They travel all over the world permanently. And there are people that actually travel on cruises instead of buying a home or going into.
Now
a
I have
home.
heard this. So this is basically what this is. So the planet's
Oh, there we go.
largest private residential yacht,
Here we go.
offering a global adventure like nothing else on Earth. Each of the 165 residents aboard the World
Residences.
residencies. Helps if I could read. Aboard the World is a private home.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That is
Fascinating, isn't it?
fascinating. To
I'd like to
be
do
able
that for a year or something.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to be stuck on it. You think you could do 365 on a boat?
It depends on the boat. But listen, my favorite type of cruise is one that doesn't stop at every port. The ones that I love most are they go across the Atlantic. That's the one I met my wife on. Takes 2 weeks. You don't stop. You go from St. Martin to Lisbon, and the other one we've done is down. Where did we go? It was just right of Australia to San Diego.
Somewhere down there.
Yeah, took 2 weeks. Oh, Polynesia.
Polynesia.
French Polynesia. Yeah, went from there, and that took 2 weeks. That was last year, I think, beginning of last year. And you're just at sea all the time. And if you go with a bunch of friends, which we always do, we've now got a gang of friends. Actually, Diane, my wife, had a gang of friends before I knew her. She used to go cruising on her own, and she had this group of friends, and so now they're my friends, and they're all over the US and other countries, and so if you're with them for 2 weeks, it's just fantastic. You're laughing and joking, you're relaxing during the day, and in the evening you dress up, have a nice dinner, and listen to the band and things like that.
Hanging out with your mates.
It is, yeah, hanging out with your mates. Yeah, I wish some of my mates from England would do it, but they're all plebs.
I'm gonna have to steal that. That's a good word. So so you go from cruising. Your wife lives here. What does your wife do?
She is a GSA consultant.
Okay.
She has her own business, in which she's been doing for 20 years, and she's very good at it. So any business that needs to, or wants to, or is even thinking of selling to the government, the process is drawn out and tricky, and she guides them through that process.
Laborious, to say the least.
It could take up to a year, but she helps them get a GSA, get on the GSA schedule, they call it.
Yeah. That's an interesting profession. So you're doing the cruise thing. You're coming back. You're here in the United States, and then did you just see the need for this business opportunity, the business coaching, or was this was you talked about that you had friends that were just calling you up and asking you for advice? Is that how this kind of evolved into what you're doing now?
The agency was the first thing I started. Well, actually, when I first moved over here, I wasn't allowed to work until I got my green card.
Of course.
So I decided to get a real estate license because that sounded easy. Somebody advised me to do that, so I did that. But I've never really pushed that. I just refer people to. I know a lot of realtors, so I just refer people for that. But then. The obvious thing was building websites for people because that's what I could do. I did that for the British government. I worked for Intel, IBM.
Where you built websites for the British government?
Yeah, intranet sites. The one I worked on was for the when the foot and mouth disease outbreak, and somebody said, one of the agents that got me work said, "Are you interested in this?" I said, "Yeah, I'll do that." I actually started another contract in the north of England in Liverpool, and then they called me the Tuesday after the Monday I started and said, "Are you interested in coming do this?" I said, "You've been talking to me about this for the last few weeks." He said, "Well, they need somebody urgently." I said, "All right." So I said, "Well, the chances of me getting this contract, I've just started one, and I've got to come all the way back down to actually where the office was literally in where I lived, in the town I lived in, because I'd worked all over the country, and it was literally a 2-mile drive along the same road into the town, and there it was. So I said, okay, I'll give it a go. So I quit that contract, made up some lie, came down, and I walked into this thing for the interview, and the guy there in charge, who's actually now one of my best friends, he said, "Well, you haven't got 2 heads. You're in." I said, "Oh, right." He said, the main criteria are you start now, and this was just before Easter, and he said, you don't have a day off for the next 30 days, and you work through Easter 7 days a week. And I said, okay. So I did that, and I stayed there, moving from project to project for 9 years. And I learned a lot. And that's where so I helped them build the disease control system, and we would create these reports on SQL Server database that were sent to Tony Blair, the Prime Minister, so he could get updates on what was happening and how many cows we were culling and burning, things like that. Yeah, that was a real learning experience. So that's it. So I came over here. That's the first thing I knew what to do was build websites and reporting and things like that from databases. And I just started. That was it.
Yeah. Well, this is what's interesting on your one. Well, there's a lot of things that's interesting about this, but when I was watching the video, you have a software that you're actually plugging the data into. So when you're sitting down with somebody like myself, and you're going through the processes of where the way that you're finding the holes, is you're finding the holes through analytics, and through taking information from a P&L, plugging it into your algorithms, and then coming out with pliable solutions for that particular company in areas that they may or may not know that might be either a loss of profit or a profit center.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, initially we look at 12 different strategies that they could adopt or implement, and this software that we use, it has 497 million algorithmic sequences in it, so it has data on hundreds of different industries and niches, and it knows what your expected gross profit percentage should be and net profit percentage should be, and for that for that industry. So we plug those in, and we use the data that you give us. I use it. You give me a profit and loss statement. Tell me what your gross revenue is, gross profit and net profit, and then we look to see where you could be making changes. You might be cutting costs is a big thing that people overlook and don't appreciate as much as they should do. And each thing that we recommend or we look at, we say if you were to implement this, we talk about it. What percentage, difference could that make? And then we apply that, and then we look at the next one. So let's say your gross profit is 100,000, and now we've given this. If you apply this, it's going to give you a 10% increase. Okay, so now you've got 110,000. Now, if we go to this next thing and we add 10%, what's that going to be? That's 10% of that 110,000. So all these little things that we do, it's not necessarily 10%. It could be 3%, 2%, 5%. Each one compounds on the other. So at the end of it, it just ramps up exponentially. You could, depending on what your figures are, you could cut your costs by 5%, increase your prices by 5%, and by doing those two things, all of a sudden you've doubled your profit for the annual, your annual bottom line. And just by 5% here, 5% there, of course it's different for different businesses, but that's the extraordinary effect it can have just by tweaking here and there. And getting that across to people, sometimes people just can't believe it, And I hold these workshops, and I go through it and I show people, and they say, yeah, I want to see how that could be applied to my business. So then I say, all right, we'll sit down, give me an hour, we do a Zoom, and we go through it, and you can take this report. At the end of it, you'll get a report. You can take that away, and not only that, I'll give you an implementation plan. So this is what we've discovered, and this is how you can put these into place. Off you go. And if you want me to help you, then I'll help you. But if not, if you think you could do that yourself, which you should be able to if you've got the time, go and do it. I love it. It really thrills me to see. When you get these people come up to me and say, "Thanks for that."
Sure. I mean, what's nicer than being able to help somebody out, and to be able to help somebody? You're. Sometimes I feel like the analogy of the little boy at the dam with his finger, right?
Yeah.
And you've got we've seen this cartoon rendering of this where you're trying to plug the holes, and you only have so many fingers and so many toes, and what you're doing is basically you're not only finding where these proverbial holes might be, but you're also getting a strategic plan together to implement policies, procedures, programs, what have you, that will keep you from having to be the man with the finger in the dam.
Yeah, exactly. And it can fill the bucket as well, or the dam. There's stuff you could put more money in the bucket without going out and finding new leads.
That's what was really interesting about it to me, is like you're digging through the P&L. It was just I actually couldn't. So I watched your video, which you said needed to be redone, what have you. I couldn't sleep last night.
Oh, right.
No kidding. No kidding, because I'm
I am handsome, I know.
It's actually, I think it's the video that's on the bottom of this page down here. and it's just a audio. It's uh, the guy's explaining the. It wasn't actually you. It was, although I don't want to take that away from you. Now it's not here where you're going through and might be on. I'm not sure where it is on the page because I was clicking around all over the place looking at it. But watching the breakdown, and then I started thinking, you start thinking about your business, and you're just like, okay, well, where am I missing these things? Where am I missing these things?
Yeah.
And I finally said, you know what? I'm going to have you do this for us.
Okay.
Because this is the video that I watched, and because I couldn't stop thinking about it, and I finally just had to, in order to get myself to go to sleep, I was like, hey, look, I'm just going to have him after the podcast. We'll set up a time where we can actually evaluate our businesses and look at that and figure out what we can do, because it's something that I don't think any of us would shy away from, the opportunity to increase our profit centers.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I stood up in this meeting I do every week, or I have every week, this networking group, and I said, who here has a business that is making more money they can cope with, and they don't want to make any more profits, and they can't actually remember why they even bother coming to these
And
meetings.
every hand went up.
No hands went up. I said, I basically said, if it's all rocking and rolling for you, then that's great, but it's not, and I'm, am I that scary? I'm not.
You are pretty terrifying and intimidating.
That's what my cat says.
So, yeah, this is pretty exciting stuff, and I think that it's I'm as guilty as this as probably anybody else that I talk to that is a driven entrepreneur. We have bright, shiny things that grab our attention.
Oh yeah, I've been guilty of that.
And you find these things, and then you fixate on it, and at the end of the year, you're looking at your P&L and you're looking at your business as you're progressing through the year, and you're like, well, maybe that thing was just a diversion, not something to actually increase or increase my bottom line. It's one thing to have a top line impact, but if it's something that it's impacting you in the middle in a negative way, you could have $1 million worth of growth in your company and lose $990,000 of it, and you've got a $10,000 gain. So
I listen. You're absolutely. I have a meeting today with somebody. Obviously, I'm not going to mention who it is or what it is. They're making almost $1 million, taking almost $1 million, but they're losing. At the end of the year, they're negative. Yeah. And I said, well, we've got to fix that.
Yeah.
And I don't think it'd be that easy because it's a great business. There are a few holes there that need to be plugged. Get my finger out.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, you're the little boy in the dam.
Yeah.
At the dam. And if you're looking for a business coach, go to go to the top up there, Becky, so I can see that.
Level Up Business Coach.
Level Up Business Coach up at the top.
.com.
Go up to the all the way up to the top, Becky, and let's find that. Yeah, scroll all the way on up. There you go. No, scroll on there. URL.
Levelupbusinesscoach.com.
Levelupbusinesscoach.com.
Yeah. Or send an email, Frankie at levelupbusinesscoach.com.
Or you can just show up to you have business coachings that you're doing here locally in the Frederick area.
Yeah, I've been holding them every week at the Chamber of Commerce. There's a bit of a pause because they're moving their offices to the ground floor. You call it the first floor. In England, the second floor here is the first floor.
Yeah, so I actually was working with a program we were doing 3D rendering when we were building this, and it was ground floor, first floor, ground floor, first floor. Yeah. And I'm trying to explain this to my architect, and he's just like, no, that's the second floor. I'm like, no. This is ground floor. Down here is ground floor. We're on the first floor.
Yeah.
I was like, when you get into your elevator, you push ground floor, it takes you to
The ground floor.
Back to terra
I
firma.
actually, I have to concede that one because second floor does make more sense than, first floor. But that's the only thing.
Everything else is just a sheer wreck, and we'll come back when we have you back in. I'm going to have you talk about some of the differences between our environment in the U.S. and what the UK is.
There are a lot of differences. We'll be here all day.
I love it though. That's interesting stuff, man. So point of perspective. But thanks for coming in. I really appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Eric.
Enjoy
I've
your
really
conversation
enjoyed it.
always, and looking forward to working with you.
Rebecca. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Becca's great. Becca's our tech today, and so thank you, Becca, for helping us out today. But so Frankie, thanks a lot.
Cool.
All right.
That was great, Eric. I enjoyed that.
Good. Well, that's what it's all about, man. I want to make sure that you enjoy it.
Yeah.